The story of the Persian Immortals. Long before the modern nation of Iran existed, before Europe had empires of its own, a vast power rose from the Iranian plateau. This was the Achaemenid Persian Empire, the first true superpower of the ancient world. It stretched from the Indus Valley to the shores of the Mediterranean, ruling over dozens of peoples, languages, and cultures. To hold such an empire together, Persian kings understood one essential truth: power must be visible, organized, and constant. From this idea emerged one of the most legendary military units in history, the Persian Immortals. The Immortals were not mythical beings, nor were they believed to live forever. Their name came from something far more unsettling to their enemies. Their number never changed. There were always exactly 10,000 of them. If one soldier died, fell ill, or was wounded, another immediately took his place. To outsiders, it appeared as though the unit could not be diminished. No matter how many fell, the line never grew thinner. To the Greeks, this was terrifying. They called them the Athenatoi, the Immortals. The origins of the Immortals trace back to the rise of the Persian Empire under Cyrus the Great in the 6th century BCE. Cyrus was not only a conqueror, but a master organizer. He understood that raw numbers were not enough. He needed a professional, permanent force loyal to the king alone. While most ancient armies were seasonal or temporary, the Immortals were always ready. They trained constantly. They were paid regularly. Their service was a career, not an obligation. These soldiers were selected from the finest warriors of the empire. Many were ethnic Persians, but others came from allied peoples such as the Medes and Elamites. What united them was loyalty to the great king. Service among the Immortals brought prestige, wealth, and honor. They lived better than ordinary soldiers and marched at the center of imperial power. Their appearance was carefully designed to project dominance. The Immortals wore brightly colored robes over light armor, often made of layered fabric or scale-like metal. They carried wicker shields, short spears, bows, and the Achaemenid, a distinctive Persian short sword. At the base of their spears were counterweights shaped like pomegranates, symbols of life and fertility. Officers carried gold, while ordinary soldiers carried silver. When 10,000 of them marched together, they did not look like a chaotic army. They looked like a moving wall of authority. The Immortals served two roles at once. On the battlefield, they were elite infantry, deployed at critical moments to break enemy lines or hold strategic ground. Off the battlefield, they were the king's personal guard. They protected the royal court, escorted the king during campaigns, and stood beside him during ceremonies. Their presence alone sent a message. The empire was stable, disciplined, and eternal. Under the reign of Darius the Great, the Immortals reached the height of their influence. Darius expanded the empire, crushed revolts, and reorganized administration across 3 continents. Wherever rebellion threatened Persian authority, the Immortals followed. They were often the first imperial troops seen by conquered cities, and the last force standing when order was restored. The Immortals became widely known to the Western world during the Greco-Persian Wars. Greek city-states such as Athens and Sparta faced the immense might of Persia, and among all Persian forces, the Immortals left the strongest impression. Greek writers describe them as disciplined, relentless, and unnervingly calm. Even when the Persians were defeated in battle, the idea of the Immortals endured. They were not remembered for panic or disorder, but for precision and control.
Much of what we know about the Immortals comes from Greek historians, particularly Herodotus. These accounts are not entirely neutral. Greek authors often portrayed Persians as exotic or overly luxurious. Yet even through this biased lens, the Immortals stand out as a formidable force. Enemies do not invent fear unless it already exists. As warfare evolved, the Immortals became more than soldiers. They became a symbol. They proved that power could be institutional rather than personal. Any individual warrior could fall, but the system remained intact. This idea was revolutionary in the ancient world. The end of the Immortals came not through gradual decline, but sudden collapse. In the late 4th century BCE, Alexander the Great invaded the Persian Empire with a fast and aggressive army. Despite their discipline and experience, the Immortals were part of a system that depended on centralized authority. When the empire fractured, the mechanisms that sustained them broke apart. With the fall of the Achaemenid dynasty, the Immortals vanished from history. There was no final battle, no recorded last stand. They simply disappeared into the chaos that follows the collapse of empires. Yet their legacy survived. Today, the Persian Immortals are remembered not because they were unbeatable, but because they represented something timeless. They showed that true strength does not rely on a single hero or moment of glory. It relies on organization, continuity, and belief. As long as the line never breaks, power appears eternal. That was the true immortality of the Persian Immortals.
If you want more real war history, stories about warriors, special units, and forgotten armies, watch the full video on this channel. Subscribe and don't miss the next story.